Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to tonight's edition of HR Mentorship Learning Series. We will be looking at a very interesting topic, and the topic for consideration tonight is using assessment centers for leadership development and recruitment. Using assessment centers for leadership development and recruitment. And our facilitator for tonight is no other person than Mr. Rahim Olalekan. Thank you so much for volunteering to share with us your expertise and your time. Mr. Rahim Olalekan is a talent acquisition expert. He's also an organizational development specialist. Currently, he works as HR officer with FinSport Academy. Prior to now, he worked with DB Consulting, Lagos, as HR organizational development consultant. And also, he has served with Workforce Group, Bagada, Lagos, as a recruitment assessment consultant. He also provides services. In the past, he worked with Gratitude India as an HR recruiter. These are some of the things he has done, just to mention a few. And as he shares with us tonight, please let's pay attention so that we can get full value from tonight's session. Mr. Rahim Olalekan, we celebrate you. Thank you for joining. You have the floor. Let's receive him with warmth and appreciation via our emoticons and emojis. You have the floor, sir.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Oluyemi Adeosun. It's nice to be here, and then I really appreciate the fact that I was invited to come and speak on this topic, using assessment centers for leadership development and recruitment. As we dive into this, we advise we get our pen and note down some of the important things that we discussed in this section today. Okay, I think we should just go straight to the question. Yes, the first thing that comes to mind is, okay, we are talking about assessment center. What is this? What is this assessment center? Assessment center is said to be a structural evaluation process that utilizes the combination of text, exercise, and stimulation to assess individuals' skills, competencies, and potentials. These assessment centers are used by organizations to build leadership skills in people, to know the traits, the skills, and the potentials that an individual person possesses, so that they would know the right place to fit in such an individual. The assessment center is not as common as we have it now. Prior to the COVID-19, it was the COVID-19 that made the assessment center to be known far and abroad, because we now come to the era of assessing our candidates virtually to know whether the candidate possesses the skills and the requirements that are suitable for either job or the leadership position we are looking at. Now, these assessment centers are mostly used as tool to grade and evaluate the performance of employee over time. I've been part of assessment center for some of the top tiers banks in Nigeria. I was part of one yesterday as well. If you look at it, they don't just use it to just recruit. They use it to identify the leadership potential in that individual, to know where and when to place you, and then for them to be able to plan ahead. So let's continue as we look into this. Assessment center can either be physical or virtual. Okay, the physical assessment center will require you as an assessor evaluating the skills and competency of the candidates before you. The physical assessment center, it is in assessment center, you observe that we have assessors, not only single assessors, we have group of assessors assessing just one candidate. So meaning it's required fairness. Bias is house rule out of the assessment center, because the rating of the first assessor, second assessor, and the third assessors, the assessors in that team will be what is going to determine the evaluation of that candidate. That is to physical assessment center. And we also have virtual assessment center. Virtual, as the name implies, simply means electronics, making use of the kind of gadgets we are using at the moment, where your candidates as well log in the way we log in, and you assess the candidates, you evaluate the candidates, and ensure that you have what you are looking for remotely using the digital platforms such as Zoom, Team, Google Meet, and the rest. So that is those major two assessment center that we have. Physical assessment center, where we have like an office setting, the candidate sits while the assessors as well sit to evaluate the candidate. For the virtual one, it is done remotely while the candidate log in through one platform, digital platform, and then the assessors as well log in through this digital platform just to evaluate and assess the skills and competencies as well as the potentials of such candidates. So after this, what are now the purpose of assessment centers? Assessment center has a lot of purposes, but two major purposes of assessment center are either for recruitment or development. Over the times, assessment center has been known for recruitment because it is used to pick out the best talent, the top talent among the set of the candidates, prospective candidates that you have to be interviewed. So now, for the development, performance and appraisal is done either quarterly or at some interval, depends on how the organization choose to have it. The purpose of performance appraisal is to know what you have done so far, how you can be moved from that level to another level. So instead of just having a kind of random performance appraisal, organization now employ the use of assessment center, where somebody, your line manager, would be part of the assessors, as well as some other external bodies, to assess your competencies and to evaluate what you've done over time, and then recommend you for either a leadership position, or either you need some PIP, performance improvement plan, or other things. So assessment center as well is used for development. Those are two major purposes of assessment center, aside from every other thing we might come across in our journey. Okay, so we will be focusing on these two major purposes of assessment center. We look at the development, that's to do with leadership development, and we look at the recruitment. So let's take a look at the benefits of assessment center. What are the benefits? What are likely things you are going to gain from this as an individual, as HR, as a company? What are those things you are going to get from it? One is objective evaluation. Assessment center is always objective. There is nothing like bias there, because this is how it is done. We have like 5 or 4 assessors, minimum of 2 assessors assessing a candidate with some competencies as well as some behavioral indicators. Now, they have what they are looking out for. Even if an individual pick a personal interest in you to rate you higher than expectation, we still have other 2 or 3 assessors there whose evaluations matters to assessment center. Meaning, if we have 4 assessors in that scene, the grading, this grading or scale of first, second, and third and fourth assessors divided by 4 is what is going to give the aggregate of your performance as a candidate or as someone who has come for assessment center. That is that. So it is objectives. It's far away from bias. It's far away from a lot of things that will make you focus on the objectives of why you need either move the candidates from that ladder to a leadership position, or why you need the best candidate to suit into a particular role. Okay, the second benefits you are going to get from assessment center, either as an HR practitioner or as a company, is it has predictive validity. Okay, it has what? Predictive validity. So the research over time has shown that people who are identified through assessment center perform well in a leadership position than those picked from random thinking of an individual. Okay, meaning before someone will be placed into any leadership position, you will have passed through a lot of assessments to ensure that he possesses those qualities that will make him or her function well in that position. If you choose an individual and you place him in a position without evaluating if he or she has mental capacity, skills, emotional intelligence to handle the position, don't be surprised that such an individual is not going to perform well in that position. So assessment center has done a great thing by ensuring that whoever you are picking out of the multitude to pick up a leadership role, really what's being there possess what it takes to be what? To be in that leadership position. Another thing is it helps in talent development. I said something about PIP earlier. You've evaluated some candidates. To you, to the company, they believe an individual has some traits that will make him function well in a particular position. But when the person passes through an assessment center, he or she failed to meet up with the requirements that will make him fit into that position. Now, as HR practitioner or as an organization, you can come up with a developmental program for such an individual for you to prepare him ahead of another time for him to suit into that or fitting into that post. Not only that, you can see a leadership traits or potential from a new recruit, someone who is just coming into your organization. Now, you need to help him to nurture that trait. You need to help him to nurture that ability and then the quality of the leadership that you've identified in him. You can only be able to do that using talent development. So assessment center exposes organization to leadership traits, skills, hidden traits from the candidates, even right from the recruitment stage. If you employ the use of assessment center while screening doing your selection process. Okay, the last one is it enhances decision making. Okay, we have multiple assessors, right? And then in different assessors, they have their own what they are looking out for. Okay, we have a lot of behavioral indicators, and we are looking out for. We have the questions to check those behavioral indicators. Now, the assessors are there to ensure that they get what they are really looking out for from that candidate. Meaning, I thought about, okay, if I have a biased mind, because Tululope happened to be a good girl to me, when I sent her an errand, she always obey and do the right thing. Now it is time for me to push someone or to recommend someone into a managerial position or a supervisory position. And I think Tululope should be the best there because Tululope is a good girl to me. Now I don't have that opportunity to use that biased mindset to put Tululope there, in as much as assessment center is being deployed to get the best candidates for that position. Meaning the decision-making process will be what? Flawless. My decision alone as a line manager is not going to be the one to be considered. We have other assessors. In fact, you can invite external assessor to come into your assessment center to ensure that you get the call. If you know that, okay, there's no how you can handle it without bias, invite an external assessor to come in, to come and help you with your assessment center for you to have the right candidate in the right position. Because the bitter truth is this: if you fail to fix in the right candidate in the right position, you are about to run the company with that attitude. Why? Because such a candidate will not be able to perform very well. Individual performance contributes to the organizational performance. So, meaning in a team of 5, if A is not working very well, it's going to affect B, C, D, E. So, meaning everybody's performance is what reflects organizational performance. So, we are meant to ensure that we have the right person in the right place doing the right thing. So, to take that decision, assessment center helps to get that achieved. Now, to the next thing. We have varieties of assessment centers. There are techniques, ways in which we get what we are looking for from the candidates we are assessing. Number one is one-on-one interview. This one-on-one interview, most times called CBI. It is called competency-based interview. in that, I'm still going to say something about competency-based interview toward the end of this section, because it's one of the major tools in assessment center. So one-on-one interview, like you having to have some questions to get some facts from the candidates to ensure that, okay, you are in the right path. That's one of the tools or methods used in an assessment center. Another one is role playing. You have a group of 5 people in a team. You give them role. You function as the head of this team. You function as this. You function as that. Now you see that how they perform in that line. So that is a role play. You've given them role. They are going to perform, and then you see to it that they all perform those roles, and then observe if the role give it to them, they were able to carry it out. That is another way in which assessment center can be done. Another one is psychometric test. The psychometric test is used. The psychometric test is used to ensure that you get a psychoanalysis of that candidate. You get the psychoanalysis of the candidates. You get to realize that, okay, these candidates possess the psychological traits that is required for that role or possibly for that leadership position. The other one that is deployed by assessor or that is used in an assessment center is presentation. How is this used? Presentation is used in such a way that the assessors will have prepared a case study. Okay, will have prepared a case study in which the candidates will be asked to prepare his own side of that case study, come up with an idea as well to that case study, and present before the assessors for them to gauge. Presentations mostly are used to check communication skills, analytical skills, because you are presented with a problem. So communication skills, analytical skills, business acumen skills, and some other skills like that. So presentations are also some of the methods or tools used in an assessment. Another one is interest service, right? Or interest exercise is also an example of method used in an assessment center. Case studies is used in an assessment center. The bitter truth is...
Hello, Mr. Olaleko.
Yes, can you hear me?
Please explain in-tray for the benefit of some of us, please.
All right, thank you. Now, the in-tray is you have you'll be given a kind of role to play, but with that role, you cannot perform that role without others. Okay. In most cases, in-tray are used for to assess 2 major skills or 2 major behavioral indicators. One is leadership, another one is teamwork. So when they deploy in-tray, they are either using it for leadership traits in you or team management. Okay, that is that. For the case study, I will not explain the case study without discussing with presentation and group exercise. In the presentation, you'll be given a case, a problem. Now, you are meant to prepare a presentation to solve that problem. So meaning you have a case study in the presentation. And for the group exercise as well, you have the problem will be presented before the group. Now, it is now the task given to the group to ensure that they come up with solutions to those problems. Now, in that group, in the group exercise, this is how it is done. In the presentation, you'll be asked questions by the assessors. In one-on-one, you'll be asked questions by the assessors. In role play, you won't be asked questions. You'll be given the role to play while the assessors observe. They have what they are looking out for. They observe. In psychometric test, you'll be asked questions. In in-tray, you can be asked questions, you'll not be asked questions. But in the group exercise you have the case studies as given to you. You'll be given time to go through the case study. That's how it is done. You are going to give the candidate time to go through the case study. Now you give them time to discuss around the case study and come up with the solution. You as an assessor or you as organizers of assessment center, your role in that place is not to stop them from discussing or to say anything. Your role is to observe. you have what you are looking out for. Okay, how is this person coming into communication in a formal setting? Does he possess the right attitude towards others? How does he appreciate others? You have the indicators, the behavioral indicators you are looking out for. So the group exercise, you observe the candidates discussing and note down those items you are looking out for. Why we have the group exercise? We have 5 or 4 candidates. Okay, the 5 or 4 candidates we have will not be seen by all the assessors. And assessors will be given like 2 candidates to look out for, so that you will concentrate on your candidates and look out for those traits you are looking out for in that candidate, and know how to rate them. So when you are rating the candidates and you are giving out your comments after the rating, you know why you've rated the candidates in that way. And because your comments in the summary part should be able to reflect in the rating scale. Meaning, if you are giving the candidates 2 stars, why are you giving him 2 stars out of 4? Your summary should indicate why the candidate is having 2 stars. If you are giving the candidate 4 stars, meaning the candidate is excellence, why are you giving the candidate the 4 stars? Your summary should indicate that. So you are just going to observe any candidate assigned to you by the coordinator of that assessment center. So that is how the group exercise is coordinated in an assessment center. Okay. Now let's go straight into the assessment center for leadership development. When you hear assessment center for leadership development, you know too well that an organization organizes this assessment center to identify or to create a kind of avenue for leadership development. So it is aimed to identify the strengths, the development areas, provided feedback for growth, thereby enhance leadership skills and effectiveness. Meaning, if you organize an assessment center, meaning assessment center is not only meant for the candidates you are getting in. You can organize an assessment center for the staffs you have, the employees in the organizations, just to ensure that, okay, they have the right attitudes toward what they're asked to do. The bitter truth is, in an assessment center, you can't lie. Because if you lie, out of the 4 or 5 people will be able to deduce that, you are lying. Let me share one of the experience I had not quite long. It was a virtual assessment center. And then once the question is asked, we just have to be careful in the virtual, anything that has to be virtual this time around. When a question is asked, I just observed that we are a group of 4 assessors in that team. I just observed that when a question is asked, the candidates pause as if the network is bad, whereas the candidates look for ways to answer the question. Once the candidates answer the question, for the fact that I've been able to, I'm used some of these AI. I told the candidates, stop there. You have 2 systems open there. One is with ChatGPT, while the other one is what you are using for us. All the answers you've been given for the past 2-3 questions given now, all those answers are from ChatGPT. They are not your own answer. Other assessors in the group, they were like, wow, how did you deduce this? So you could see, that is what as an assessor, you pay your utmost attention. The core purpose of an assessment center is to ensure that you don't pick the right candidate, the wrong candidate for the right role. The same way you do during your selection process. Once you make mistake in an assessment center, you are about to choose the wrong candidate for the right role. The same thing, if you are about to choose the wrong candidates or wrong personnel for the leadership position. Now, these are just the network of assessment center and how it works around the business and the business vision and strategy. From the business vision strategy, it moves to the human capital strategies, meaning as an HR, you come up with a strategy that works for your own business. Individual businesses have their own peculiarities. What works for him may not work for me. So as a human capital specialist, or as an HR officer, or talent management officer, you come up with the strategies that work with your own organization. Okay, so it's this strategy that you now design towards your competency-based integration HR system. So now, if you are using needs assessment center for recruitment, you use it through a staffing and selection process. After your staffing and selection process, you will have administered the assessments either before or after. Assessment center is not something that, okay, if I've used it for this period, then I can pause and I think that, okay, I've got what I'm looking for. Even before the confirmation of your candidates, I can tell you for free that the best tool to get to know whether the candidate is due for confirmation or is what confirmation is assessment center. Because if you ask the line manager who has picked a kind of who has picked interest in that candidate to rate the candidate, the line manager might either rate the candidate above the worth of the candidate or below the worth of the candidate. But when you organize an assessment center, you will get to see why the candidates need to place on performance improvement plan, or why the candidates need to be what? To be accepted and even appraised, given some role beyond where the candidate is. Now, that is that. So from the assessment, I've moved towards training and development. That was when I talk about, you get to know whether maybe the candidate needs some training and development that will help him to perform very well. Assessment center as well is a great tool in leadership to plan succession planning. If you observe that, okay, with the way we are looking at it now, Mr. Ola is 50 years old, is still very active, is delivering his duty as and when due, and we are getting results from whatever all the resources in his care. But Mr. Ola, who is 50 years, cannot continue like that. Mr. Ola will drop at some point in time from the organization, either through transitioning from that company to another company, or he chooses to retire, either voluntary retirement or the company ask Mr. Ola to retire. Now, what is the plan? What plan do you have for that position, for that role not to be vacant, for you to have the right person to take care of that position, that role, even more than the way Mr. Ola will be doing it? You need assessment center. So it is the assessment center that will tell you that, okay, this person, Tunde, possess all these traits that make Mr. Ola to excel in this role, and that make Mr. Ola to perform very well in this role. Now, Tunde should now move from these departments and then be transferred to Mr. Ola's department to understudy Mr. Ola. You might not even pronounce it that Tunde is understudying Mr. Ola, but Tunde will work directly with Mr. Ola, meaning you are preparing Tunde for that leadership position by deploying assessment center at the initial stage to identify the traits, the quality that Mr. Ola possesses that makes him function well in other candidates or other person you have in the organization. So you use assessment center as well for succession planning when it has to do with leadership. And I've said this before now that it's also used for performance management. Most performance appraisal in some of the top tier banks these days are not done by the line manager. They are done through performance. They are done through assessment center. I've been part of at least like 5 for the past 4 months now. I've been part of 5 assessment center for like 5 different banks on how to grade their performance when it's called performance management and appraisal. That is the major thing they use for their performance management and appraisal, not individual appraiser, not line manager appraiser. The line manager, the better truth is if we have the candidate from Lagos branch in that assessment center, the line manager, the manager that will be in charge of that assessment, that will come and observe the candidates, will not be from Lagos. Such an individual might even be from Abia or anywhere, meaning the line manager from Lagos is understudy another candidate from another branch, so as for us to avoid the bias. So that is one of major areas why, or reasons why we think you agree with me that assessment center is very useful for leadership development. Now, what are the components of assessment center for leadership development? So you will agree with me that today's the dynamic business landscape has changed beyond what we see in the last 10, 15 years. New things are coming in. We need people to pick up new skills. We need people to come out to go beyond what is expected from an ordinary person. You go above board to ensure that you get some things achieved. One, we have a leadership component framework. Assessment center for leadership development is used to create leadership competency framework. Okay, you will have created the competency framework. These are the competencies, these are the behavior required for you to perform very well in this position. So you will have used this, you will have created a behavioral indicator around those competencies, around those skills required, just for you to be able to pick that candidate that is the best for that position. Another one is stimulation exercise. You can't function well in a leadership position without great leadership abilities, decision making, problem solving, interpersonal skills. How will you be able to assess all this without assessment center? If you are using any other tools, any other venue to assess all these things mentioned without deploying the use of assessment center, it is possible that you are going to be having the rate of authenticity of the information you are going to get from deploying whatever things you are deploying will be 20 to 80. Meaning, if you use an assessment center, you are going to get 80% accuracy from what you are getting from the candidates, from what you are looking for. And you will know too well that, okay, these things that I'm looking for are in this candidate. If you deploy any other thing aside from assessment center, you will only get the 20% of what you are looking for, because the candidates might be opportune to hide under anything, under something. But in an assessment center, the candidate is open. Everybody is open. Even the assessor is open. If one assessor is doing the wrong thing, another assessor is doing the right thing, you're not the only one. I mean, everybody in that assessment center is working together to ensure that the main purpose of that assessment center is achieved. And to get that done, everybody is working together. So stimulation exercise to check decision-making process, problem solving, analytical skills, the personal skills. Assessment center is the best for that. Assessment center is used for behavioral assessments. Okay, when I ask a candidate, tell me about a time where others in your team disagree with your opinion. How did you react to it? What was your role and what was the end result? In that question alone, I will check the behavior of candidates on how the candidate will react to some issues. I will check the leadership traits of the candidates. I will check how the candidates handle some scenario that is not in favor of him or her. I will check how the candidate is able to relate and make others see why his own opinion is better off than others' opinions. So from one question, I can assess so many things. I can assess so many behaviors. I can be able to check all those behaviors and say that, okay, this candidate possesses all this. Not only that, assessment center is also used for 360-degree feedback. If assessment center is used for leadership development, it gives an opportunity for the organization to give feedback to the candidates in that center. Because it is possible that in that assessment center, you can even arrange your asset. For example, you want to assess someone in the managerial position. The person is already in the managerial position, maybe deputy manager. You still want to assess him to be sure if he was being promoted into the manager. Now, in that team of assessors, you can have an individual who is of the same level with that candidate. You can have someone who is far above the candidate. You can have someone who is far below the candidate. So from there, you put the subordinate, you put the someone that is far above the candidate, you put the peer, someone at the same level with the candidate. And by the time you have all this, you get the feedback from all of them. Their feedback is what you are going to use to take the decision, to choose, to determine whether the person really fits into that position or not. Not only that, the 360-degree feedback as well is still also used to the candidates, because you also give the candidate feedback on that assessment results, that these are things that are observed from you, and these are the areas you need to work on for you to be able to get this done. So 360-degree feedback is useful to the company and also useful to the candidates as well as the assessors. Now, I think our development planning as well, I think we've said a lot about that. So we use that as well. We use assessment center to develop to have a development plan for the candidates. If you observe that at times when a particular trait is in the candidates, you will see that the company will just choose to send such a candidate outside to go and learn a particular thing, using their own resources, sending him outside to go and acquire some skills, to go and meet up with some people. When the candidates, when the company send the candidates to a business school to go and learn some things, they are not sending the candidate to that business school to go and learn alone. You learn, you meet with some people, with high intellect people in the class. You discuss with them. They want to develop you. They are preparing you for a particular leadership role. And they know too well that for you to function well in that role, they must push you towards that area for you to acquire some skills, learn, meet with some people, and then grow over time for you to be able to fit into that role. Okay, what are the benefits of assessment centers for leadership development? It is used to identify potentials. Assessment centers are used to identify potentials in people, in candidates, self-awareness and growth. After the assessment centers, you give feedback to the candidates. The feedback given to the candidates is going to make the candidate to be self-aware of himself and know the area where he needs to grow. It enhances leadership skills. Any person who passes through an assessment center that is designed for leadership will definitely be aware and be conscious of some leadership skills that are required of him or her to function well, even though he doesn't get it at that moment. He will be aware that, oh, I need all this set of skills to function well in this area. And this as well will help employee branding. As an HR or human capital management, you've not really achieved much if people in your organization are not willing to remain in the organization and people outside are high in the organization. When you've gotten to the peak of when you can relax a bit as human capital manager is when you've developed your brand in such a way that people inside are not willing to leave and people outside really want to get in. And the only way people outside want to get in is that they see that people inside are moving from one ladder to another. That is career transitioning from one level to another. They are growing. They are not stagnant. And assessment center is one of the major tools you can deploy to ensure that you enhance leadership skills in people. I've said a lot about succession planning and how assessment center is used for succession planning as far as leadership development is concerned. Okay, how do we make use of assessment center for recruitment? Assessment center for recruitment is a structured evaluation process, or there are structured evaluation processes that assess candidate skills, competency, and suitability for specific roles through series of exercises, stimulation, and assessments. Gone are those days where you want to employ a candidate, or you want to fill a role in your company, and you think what you can only do is to just arrange like 3 or 4 sections of interview with the HR officer, interview with HR manager, interview with this, interview with that. One assessment center is enough to take care of all those areas required. Though it takes time, it's time consuming, but it's enough to check for virtually everything you are looking for. Why is it enough? This is it. In that team, we have the HR to check some general skills. In that team, we have the line manager to look out for the competencies required to function well in that role. In that team, we have even the MD can be in the team in that assessment center. So meaning in that team alone, you have virtually people that are needed for 4 or 5 series of interviews that you'll be calling the candidate to come for. Meaning whosoever you agree with, after the ratings from everybody in that team, whosoever is rated above other is the best candidate for that role. And you will see that any candidate picked through assessment center always perform far better than the candidate that is asked to come for series of interview. Even if you are going to use assessments, for example, if some top management team are not in part of the assessors, you can also have 2. Meaning you organize assessment center where the HR as well as other team members, line manager that are important to that role will be present. And the final stage will just be the candidate coming to see the possibly the MD or whosoever the top management team that you want him or her to see. So an assessment center allows seamless selection process. It gives you as HR rest of mind, because if anything happens, guess what? Everybody in that team will be questioned for it. You rate him, I rated him, the other person rated him, and summation of everything is what we use to determine that this person is the best candidate for this role. So if anything happens, you won't be questioned as an HR that why do you get him? It means you failed to assess some skills. You should know that they cannot function well. You've assessed everything from one assessment center. So assessment center, I can tell you for free, that is the most authentic and reliable tools for selection process in recruitment. Use the assessment center and you see that you are going to pick the top talent among your prospective candidates. Okay, now I think I've said something about the objectives. So what is the objective? The objective of assessment center for recruitment is to identify the candidates who possess the desired attributes, competencies, potential to succeed in that target role. I've explained that when I was saying, giving insights about what assessment center is. Because of our time, I think we should just move to the next things. What are the key components of recruitment assessment center? One is job-related stimulation. Whatever stimulation, this is different. If you are using stimulation in a leadership, the leadership stimulation is derived from recruitment stimulation. Whatever stimulation you are using should deal with, or should has to do with the role, that particular role you are recruiting for. That is very, very important. Meaning your stimulation will be determined by your job description or job evaluation. So that is very important. So the job-related stimulation are what you must use in assessment center that is meant for recruitment. Competency assessments. Assessment center that is designed for recruitment are majorly competency-based assessments. CBI. I said I'm still going to say something about CBI. They are majorly competency-based assessment. You just want to confirm that do you have the right competence to function well in this role? And the best way to confirm It's true assessment center. The candidate cannot hide. The candidate cannot hide. If you cannot prepare, if you cannot prepare a slide, this is how we are going to get it. A link, a Google slide will be, a link to the Google slide will be created, and that link will be shared with you. Even if it is virtual, that link will be shared with you with case study, and you'll be asked to prepare the live slide where your assessors will be seeing what you are preparing. So you can't give that slide out for someone to prepare for you, because what you are preparing are being observed by your assessors. If you know that too well, that this will require someone who can be able to analyze information and come up with some key points from that information and be able to communicate the information in the right way, you use that, and you can be able to see that, oh, he possesses the right skills, he can do it. So competency assessment is one of key components of assessment center. In-depth interviews. In an assessment center, you have the questions. Assessment center is very easy to conduct, very simple, because you will have created the questions to check those behavioral indicators. Now, if you ask a question from that candidate and the candidate has given you the answer, the next question in that waiting sheet prepared by you will be a follow-up question to go deeper into that skills or competency you are looking out for in that candidate. So you go, by the time you ask, don't forget we have like 3 assessors, right? You've started asking the question. The next person go deeper, ask question just to ensure that we want to show that this candidate possess this thing that we are looking out for. The third assessor go more deeper, asking the question to ensure that, to confirm if truly the candidate possesses all what is required. The answer to question in an assessment center is purely scenario based. It's not, you cannot divine. It's scenario based. You paint the scenario, you use STAR approach. You can't use the STAR approach. You can't get your assessor convinced about what you have done by probing further, then you are out. You can't hide in an assessment. It is easy to know someone who pretends to possess. If you tell your CV and you were lucky to get the interview invites, the assessment center will open everything, because the assessors on that call will ensure they have the mandate. Their mandate is to ensure that they get the right talents to fill in the role. And that mandate, they will ensure they probe you to the extent that they confirm if you have what it takes to function well in that role, because that's the mandate and the trust given to them by the company. Assessors and evaluation criteria is one of the components. I think I've mentioned something about that. Assessors, they will have brief. It is always important for you to give your assessors brief on what, don't think they know it. Give them brief about what is required and what they are looking out for. As HR, you will be the one to arrange and prepare evaluation criteria. That is why I said you come up with the competencies. You itemize the competencies from job evaluation. From JD, you itemize the competencies. You define and create questions around that competencies. You now create behavioral indicators around the competencies, meaning you have the competencies, you have the question to drive those competencies out of the candidates, and you have what you are looking for, the behavioral indicator. Meaning, if the candidate possess this, okay, it means this candidate is suitable for this role, or this candidate has passed this competence, or these candidates can just be rated like a 2 out of 4 under this competence. You are going to be the one to prepare, to brief your assessors, prepare them ahead for the tasks they have, and prepare evaluation criteria, what is needed for them to perform very well as an assessor or as assessors. Okay, evaluation and ranking. I think I've said something about evaluation too. The ranking depends on how you want to do it. Your ranking can be maybe fair to excellence, poor to excellence. It can be 5 stars, 2 stars. If it can be 4 stars, meaning if you have 2 stars, you have average performance. If you have 3 stars on a particular competence, you have good performance. If you have 4 stars, you have an excellent performance. So you determine that as organizer of the assessment center. So these are the components of what makes up of assessment center for recruitment. So without all these 5 components, without taking them into consideration, if you embark on organizing an assessment center, be sure that your assessment center will not get the best that is required from that exercise. Put all these 5 things into consideration, and you appreciate the fact that you get the top candidates, the top talent for the right role you have to fill. Okay. I think we've discussed this. Assessment center is used for selections, is used for career path. In an engagement, one of my mentor engaged someone. In an engagement, it could deduce from that center, minor assessment center, that candidate can perform or function very well in another department, more than the department he was. And when he suggested and recommended the candidates for that career path, the candidate was not happy about it. The candidates choose not to even talk to him. But after 4 or 5 years of the assessment center, guess what? The candidate finally found himself in that career path. And he admitted that if not for the fact that he went through the assessment center and then he was recommended for that career path, he wouldn't have known his potential, wouldn't have been able to identify its potential, not even talk of developing that potential, not even talk of the company helping him to nurture and develop the potential for him to be useful. The bitter truth is, you can be useful in another department compared to departments you are now, and you may not be aware of it. It might be somewhat somewhere. If you are using an assessment center to determine promotion, to appraise and the rest, it might be someone amidst the assessors that will be able to see those traits in you, that you will be able to perform excellently well in another department compared to the way you are performing your department. That is why an assessment center that is used for leadership is not meant to condemn the candidates. It is meant to help the candidate to improve. Okay, we have season planning and then development. I think we've covered virtually all this. What are the benefits of assessment center for recruitment? We have comprehensive evaluation. I think I've covered this. It's assessment center for recruitment gives you comprehensive evaluation. You have it because the mandate has been given. The tools to work with has been provided for the assessors. They don't have anything just to ensure. The only work given to them is to ensure that they pick the right candidate to fit for the right role. So that is just it. Predictive validity. I think this one is top notch. To predict anything, assessment center is the best, be it for leadership and for recruitment. It helps to see that, oh, I was part of an assessment center sometimes last year, I think around July, August last year for Friesland. And in that assessment center, you could see that some of the candidates have already presented themselves for leadership, and they are young candidates that are just coming in, fresh graduates that are just coming in. The company tap into that assessment center, pick those candidates and nurture them, develop them, because they could be able to predict and validate that prediction from the assessment that, oh, this person will be the right person to handle this and handle that. It's also a hard decision-making process because you have the data to work with, and the data you are working with is rich enough to validate the fact that, okay, if you are taking this decision, if you are picking this candidate for this role, the candidate is actually the best candidate at that moment for the role. Okay, another one is it reduces bias. I think I've explained this. we have 5 or 4 assessors. If you like, fall in love with the candidates and rate the candidates high. Other 4 assessors rating matters more than your own assessor, your own rating. Meaning bias is what totally overruled in assessment center, and most especially once the assessment center is used for recruitment. And the last but not the least, under the benefit of assessment center for recruitment is positive candidate experience. Any candidate that's into an assessment center always leave, even if they didn't get the job, they always leave happy, because it went from just an individual handling them and then feel that I think I should just push this candidate away. If you are pushing the candidate away, someone in the team will make the candidate feel relaxed. They always leave happy. Because one thing assessment staff will help you to achieve is this: you are giving the candidate the best impression of the company, and the candidate will continue to advocate for your company, whether he or she get the job or not. He will see your company as well-organized company, that everything in the company is perfect. And that is not how you organize an assessment center if you are not a well-organized company. Because that will be what? There will be issue during the course of it. And this is why I said the items, the criteria to use by assessors will have been prepared before time, and the assessors will have been briefed about what they are looking out for and how to assess and how to get those things, and what each of the ratings stand for, and what are the behavioral indicators they are watching and they're looking out for from the candidates. So the candidate is coming to have positive candidate experience from you, and your company remain continue bringing in his mind that if this company call me 10 years to come, 10 years time to come and work with them, I'm ready to work with them because of my positive candidate experience. I once attended an assessment personally, not as an assessor, but as a candidate. Up to date, I'm always saying that I pray they call me, though I got another thing. I always say that I pray they called me again for anything. You should call me for anything, or they are giving out any contracts. They are looking out for someone to take up the contract. I am always ready to work with that organization. Why? Because of my candidate experience. I was treated like king. I was not humiliated. I was honored. That is what an assessment centers does, and that's one of the benefits. Because somebody in the team will be cool-headed. Everybody in the team cannot be diehard. Somebody in the team will be cool-headed. So when someone is eating you hard, somebody is there to come eat. Somebody is eating you hard. Someone is asking you, do you need to take a cup of water? Can we offer you a water? If it's the virtual one, can you get yourself a cup of water? We can wait for you to get the cup of water. Come back. You'll be asking yourself, are you here for an assessment center, or you are here to just relate with people? So assessment center always help to create positive candidate experience. Now let's go to CBI. As the name implies, CBI simply means competency-based interview. Competency-based interview is one of the major tools is used in an assessment center. It is a powerful assessment tools that play a crucial role within an assessment center. Okay, so competency-based interview are structured interview designed to assess candidates' specific competencies, behavioral required for success in a given role. So your CBI should aim to evaluate candidates' past experience and behavior, as well as indicators of their future performance and suitability for the role. It is called competency-based interview. If you ask a question around competency-based interview, it's always start with, tell us about a time, tell us an experience of. It is not share what do you know about 360-degree interview. No. Tell us about the time you handled this. So meaning the candidate is drawing his or her past experience, then bringing it back, telling you about it, and you now evaluate and gauge the candidate's future aspiration and suitability of that candidate for that role you are filling. So the competency-based interview is purely scenario-based interview. You have the question that require the candidates to paint a scenario around that. If candidate is lying, why painting the scenario? Don't forget, one of the elements is you probe further, because already you've developed the questions, criteria to give the candidate. By the time you probe further, you get to realize that the candidate is lying or just painting a fake scenario. Okay. All right. So what are the components? The key component is almost the same with what we've seen before, a competency framework. Okay, you planning the whole thing, how you want to go about it. Your plannings, you have your competencies you are looking out for. You have drafted questions around those competencies. You should have created the behavioral indicators like 5, 6, 7 as you might choose to align it with the job role. You will have created that, and then behavioral questions. Those are the questions I said you'll have created. You'll have created behavioral questions, and then probing and follow-up questions will be arranged in such a way that when the first question is asked, the next question should be able to probe the first question further, and the third question should be able to deep down into the what the second question has been able to achieve. Then you have the behavioral indicators. These are things, the items you are looking out for. Your guides, what will guide you that, okay, if the candidates should be able to state this, and it justify why you have behaved this way, then the candidate can be rated to have this competence. The candidate can be rated to be poor in this competence. The candidate can be able to have excellent grade in this competence. That is behavioral indicator. So your evaluation and the scoring will have to do with your scaling or items you use in your evaluation. So those are the components of. Now, what are the benefits of competency-based interview? Okay, the first one is it lowers employee turnover. Don't forget that competency-based interviews gives the candidates positive candidate experience. So meaning the candidate is already in love with your organization even before coming in. So such a candidate is coming in happy. So such a candidate will remain in your organization for a long period of time because he's already happy joining your organization. Not only that, you've got the candidates deploying assessment center using competency-based interview. Now, for candidate promotion, for candidate appraiser, you still deploy assessment center using competency-based interview. You are building on already built love for the company. Okay, it provides clarity in the candidate feedback. So if you are giving the candidate feedback, it will be very clear because you have what you are looking out for. You have the guides, and then if the candidates go far below what you are looking out for, and the candidate asks you for feedback, it will be very easy for you as an assessor or as human capital manager to ensure that you give out the right feedback to the candidates. It is used to predict the future performance. From the assessment center, when you deploy CBI, don't forget the candidate is bringing back his past experience to relate with the present situation, and you will use that to judge for his future performance. It gives consistency to the recruitment process. Excellent. You want to use it for recruitment, CBI is excellent for recruitment. It is called competence, meaning if you don't have those competencies we are looking out for, you are not suited for this. And finally, it's used to eliminate bias. And you see that bias has been ringing over time. If you want to have an excellent candidate experience and you want to have the best candidates for a particular role, and you want to have the best candidates for a particular leadership position, assessment center is the best because it will help you to eliminate a lot of biases. Because a lot of bias will be eliminated. Someone who can stand in for you to help you to pass you up so that you can be given that managerial position will not even be there. And even if he's there, his rating will not be the determinant of what is going to happen in that scenario. If you know someone in the company and someone was the one that helped you to pass your CV to look like what the company is looking out for, and then maybe even if the person is the manager that will be working with, the manager will be there, other 4 or 5 team members will be there in the assessment center as an assessor, meaning even the manager's interest in you as a candidate does not matter in as much as other assessors rate you poorly as far as your performance is concerned. So assessment center eliminates bias. Thank you very much for listening. I really appreciate this opportunity to pour little out of this knowledge we've gathered from experts like Master Uluyemi Adeosun. And then in case we have any question, it's time for question and answer. Thank you for listening. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Mr. Rahim. That was an excellent presentation. Massive, beneficial, interesting, engaging, and very, very timely. I hope everyone picked multiple things just like I did. So let me just ask a few questions to further enrich this conversation.
All right.
Now, from what you have explained so far, I suspect that the assessors will require some training. Can you want to say a little around that?
Yes, you can't go for an assessment center without having a training. So it requires some a special training if you are organizing an assessment center, right? If you are the one organizing it, you are the main boss of that assessment center. After you will have created those criteria, line manager does not know how to make use of those tools. So you want to give someone who is a doctor hammer to work with. You have to tell him this hammer, you must use it to hit this nail. And if you are hitting the nail, you don't hit the nail like this, you hit the nail like this. So that is the training we require for the assessors. We can have experienced assessors in the house. Those who might require minimum ones, might just need to inform them, because at times some roles have their own peculiarities too. So imagine you as someone who has spent a whole lot of your time in human resources management, learning and development, being called to come and assess, to come and be an assessor for a medical related rules. So you now say, okay, because I'm an HR, I can ask you, can do this. No, you'll be given criteria. You'll be lectured by someone who understands that concept. So in fact, we always have a content experts and assessment center experts. So the content experts and assessment center experts come together to develop the materials that you are going to use for the assessments. So once they've come together to develop the materials that they are going to use for the assessment, is that material that they are now going to teach others on how to use and deploy. This is one of the reasons why it is very important, not for you to create behavioral indicators. So, okay, meaning these are the competencies we are looking out for. For this competence, these are the questions we can ask. How will you be able to know if this candidate is good for this role? Here are the behavioral indicators. So once you see all these indicators in the candidates, so even in your behavioral indicators, we have plus and minus. Meaning negative behavioral indicators will be there. Positive behavioral indicators will be there. So if you are rating the candidate poorly, now your negative behavioral indicator will be what? Part of your summary. That's okay. He was unable to do this, do that. Because of that, he has this. I think you understand me. So the organizer might not be master of that. Okay, an HR that is recruiting, that is saddled with responsibility of getting the top talents, for some of the tech role, even though you call yourself tech recruiter, you still have limitation. As a tech recruiter, you just have some, let's say in an ocean, you just have a teaspoon of knowledge about what their jargons and every other things are. So you need senior web developer in that company to develop your criteria, the items you are going to use to evaluate the candidates. Now, when you've come up with that, you have knowledge of assessment that are fine. You need some content. You need some things to really evaluate the candidates. You can't do it alone. You have to consult the line manager or someone who understands that role very well. You agree together, you work together to come up with the criteria that will be used for the assessment center. It is after that, you now train those other assessors who have little or no knowledge about the role and assessment center. I think that has answered your question, sir.
Thank you so much. I still have a few more questions for us to completely optimize this time. Meanwhile, if you have any question, raise your hands. We'll recognize you. I'm just asking these questions on behalf of people. Now, how short can a good assessment center be in terms of duration? How short?
Short. Depends on the quality you are looking out for. The one of yesterday, I was there, though we have afternoon section, we have morning section, right? But it's always like this. Depends. Your assessment, okay, maybe you should just book, like, you start from, let's say, 5-6 hours. Why am I saying this? If it is virtual assessment center, the first thing to do is to give the candidates analytical exercise. You want them to partake in presentation. You create a Google link form. If it is virtual exercise, you create a group link form. You send the group link form. We come like this, the way we are seeing ourselves, using either Team or Zoom or Google Meet. You send the Google link form to the candidates to start with the case study, to start preparing the slide for presentation. That is a whole 1 hour. He's going to read the case study, come up with the idea, and prepare the slide. And while you as well, you are watching, you are seeing what the candidate is doing, because it's a live document. Candidate cannot lie. That is your work. You need to get the best, and the best is you give it your time. So that's 1 hour. After that, CBI is another part you can deploy. CBI, the minimum time you can use for CBI will be 30 minutes. And for the group exercise too. For the group exercise, the minimum time you can use for group exercise will be like 40 minutes. You give the candidate 20 minutes to go through the case study you are going to present before them, and another 20 minutes to discuss. So by the time you had all those ones, we break some interval, get it in set, and you see that you've worked around 4 or 5 hours just on a section of an assessment center. At times you can be there. The one of Friesland, we were there around 9 p.m. 9 p.m. And you know, these candidates were not, they were even enjoying it. They didn't even know that time has gone. 9 p.m. we were there, it's around 9 p.m. So depends on what you are looking out for, and depends on your preparation. Preparation at times will help to minimize all those. You prepare everything and everything is set. You know how to manage it. And also depends on the number of candidates. So if I'm seeing 10 candidates and I'm spending 30 minutes on a candidate, that's how many hours? That's 5 hours just for CBI alone. And if I'm seeing for presentation, don't forget, after the candidate might have prepared the slide, the live document, the live slide, the candidate is still coming to present that to you. You give the candidate another 20-15 minutes to present. And you are seeing 5-6 candidates. So it depends. Number of candidates and some other variables will determine the time you are going to put into consideration.
So just for the benefit of someone here, it means if you are doing a physical session, please make provision for breakfast or tea break.
No. That's very important. That's very important.
Mr. Olaleko, some people like to do Ijebu.
That's very important.
The candidates will be very hungry.
It's one of the best candidate experience. I said I went for one assessment center, and I'm praying that even if I wasn't able to work with them because of some cases, I'm still praying that if they should have a contract or a project, OD project, assessment, they should just give it to me, because the experience was massive. Before we started the assessment center, they said dining, we were together with our assessors talking. Guess what? They've started their evaluation already. Even while dining. Why dining? It was later I got to realize that they started their evaluation. Why dining? So many psychometric. Why dining? They started the evaluation, psychometric. They use psychometric. So why dining? They've started. So the best way to do it is just ensure everything plan it well and you enjoy it. It's the best ever. I can't deceive you. If you want to have a seamless performance,
hello, sir. Hello, Mr. Rahim. Can anyone hear Mr. Rahim, please? Or can anyone hear me?
I can hear you, but I cannot hear Mr. Rahim, sir.
Okay, I wanted to be sure whether the network disruption was from his end or mine. Thank you so much. We have a comment here. Oh, network has thrown him out, but it's a good time we can close. But let's quickly take this comment from Inkiruka. And she is saying here, is it the same process for graduate management training? Is it the same process for graduate management training? And Inkiruka, I can tell you that it depends on how you structure your graduate management training recruitment exercise. But most graduate management training that I've seen and that I'm aware of actually follows this particular method that we have been discussing so far. Most graduate management training use what do you call it now? The assessment center as part of the recruitment process. And it is because it's very intensive, it's very detailed, and it's almost like you're simulating the different work requirements throughout a whole day or 2 days in some instances. So yes, it can be. We are asking in Kiruka that can he recommend effective and cost-friendly CBT and psychometric tools? Anyone on the call who has recommendation for our colleague in Kiruka, you can just drop it in the chat box. Okay, cost-friendly can be relative. I'm sure also you could even almost get some for free. Okay, some you may be able to get for free and at different fees based on your budget. Was there anyone who would like to say anything with respect to this particular session tonight? Or we'll call it a wrap. All right. I would like to thank.
Let me just say a few things, sir, if you permit me, sir. Thank you so much.
Go ahead, sir. Go ahead, sir.
All right. I really want to thank Rahim, and I want to thank you first and foremost for this insight, because this is critical, not just for HR, but at a time when disruptions are taking its toll, and we cannot but consider the importance of CBT, in particular in the wake of multiple candidacy. You have a lot of candidates who are applying for your jobs, and then you have been trying 3 months, 6 months, you are not getting it, and you are getting burnt out. I was at the client place, and I saw HR interview almost started, but I said, you will die, you will kill yourself. How many can you interview? So with the advent of CBT, even though it's not new, it can help us to eliminate a lot of challenges. Notwithstanding that, okay, it may have its own challenges. For example, just as Nkiruka said, it can be very expensive. That is one of the challenges we have. And just also, you also mentioned of the fact that, okay, if the assessors are not trained, it's also a major bias because they can give a very varying interpretations, and that can be an issue. Another thing is also, if the assessors are not trained, it can destabilize candidates. And when you destabilize candidates, it gives you a different interpretation because candidate is not in the best frame of mind to do that at that point in time, particularly when they're not well prepared mentally and psychologically. And also because of the cost of commuting, particularly if you're doing physical tests, it can be also challenging. And also the physical setting, how the environment looks like, if it's not well also friendly, it can make candidates also to be very, very uncomfortable. And that can also make them apprehensive. So because they're apprehensive, they are not able to give the best, and then the interpretation just gives a different interpretation about them. And also some of the challenges may be that, okay, because the issue of predictive is also premise.
Hello, Dr. Jekede.
Variables, because it's not quite a different thing. Potential is that I have the candidates also get to organization, which is very critical. It's not actually in line. I like the company, but I think I don't want to work here, and they can leave. So when was the test wrong? Was it just not? The test, but other variables like who they're going to work with, the environment they're going to work, the post engagement exercises. If those variables are not supporting them, then they will back out. And just as you rightly said, we have also seen that when the assessment is too long, they can shut down, particularly if you are dealing with this Gen Z. If you take too longer time, they will shut down. Some will shut down. They may not actually show it that they are shutting down, but the quality of response and then the quality of the variables data you are analyzing is actually compromised because you are taking too longer a time to assess them. Maybe because they have spent hours in traffic before getting to your place, and getting there again another 6 hours, another 8 hours, and then others say, "Oh, I'm still going fast." So that agitations and complaint and worry is already taking them off the concentration. So these are some of the variables that can affect the quality of the assessment. So these are just a few things I want to share, but it's got quite a time indeed and very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. Also, it's important to clarify which is the best for you. Is it virtual assess setting or physical setting? In the wake of the current crisis, sometimes we need to check it. Another thing that we must also consistently revisit our variables. Sometimes you have some CBT, the variable or CBI, for example. Now the variables are too they are too long, and they are not responding to the patterns of changes in technology, changes in the dynamics of the candidate, changes in the profession. So as things evolve, the content has to be validated so that they can meet up the reality of social ecology of reality today. So thank you so much, sir. I think those are just a few things I want to share. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jegede, for that expansive addition. This is really icing on the cake. Anyone who joined this session late, please watch this. It will be uploaded tonight so that you can get the full value. This has been a masterclass. I'd like to thank everyone. Mr. Rahim sends his greetings to everyone. I just spoke to him on phone. He actually reached out. It was network, but it was good timing. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. We'll meet again very soon. Enjoy the Democracy Day tomorrow. Good night. Thank you so much, Dr. Jegede. Thank you for all you do for the HR community and the management community at large.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.